So you're sick of your job? Let's do something about that. Did you know you could actually retire earlier than you think? You could take back your time and use it the way that you want to in the FIRE movement coming up. Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money. Please do not forget to subscribe. So whether you heard about this or not, this is called the FIRE movement, and that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And a lot of people are getting into this because it's ridiculously attractive. You're able to retire earlier. You can control your money, your time, and use it the way that you want to, and not just how just the world happens. People could retire in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, instead of their 60s, 70s, or never. So I came up with about 6 steps to really focus on and take advantage as soon as you possibly can. So I'll leave some timestamps if you want to skip around. But the first thing that you absolutely, possibly the most important thing in my mind, is to control your cash flow. And that has 2 factors involved in it. You have your income, which obviously everyone wants more of, but that's not the only factor. The other factor is expenses. It's almost as important, if not more important, than your income, and we'll be talking about that. So income is pretty simple because obviously the more that you have, you're able to save and invest more. However, expenses, I feel like it's more important than income because that kind of determines how much money you need to retire. So if you live on less, that means you would need less in retirement to actually retire. So in step number 6, we're actually going to talk about how you could retire with all this money that you're saving and investing in. But just think about it for a second. Obviously, let's just pull out numbers, let's say $30,000 versus $80,000 of expenses that I'm talking about. So if all you need is $30,000, you would need a whole lot less money to provide for that $30,000 versus $80,000. You would need a whole lot more money to support that type of lifestyle. Which brings us on to number 2 thing that we definitely have to do right now, which is starting right now. I believe this is an old Chinese proverb or something like that. I actually read it in a comment section in one of a YouTube video, but it really stood out and I really liked it. So the idea is, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago, you missed your opportunity, but the second best time to plant a tree is right now. Same thing with investing. You should have been doing it, but if you're not, then the next best time is to start right now, because there's no sooner time that you could do it. I thought it was a cool analogy, I believe. So obviously, the sooner you start, the quicker you'll able to retire, because if you're starting now versus next year or in 5 years or never, like most people, then guess what? You're not going to get there. So you got to start now. Start investing automatically so it's even easier for you. That's how a lot of people have it set up. That's how I have it set up. If you heard of The Automatic Millionaire, same concept. That's a book. But yeah, you would just invest every single month, no matter what happens. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care what's going on in the economy, into the stock market, into anything. You invest and save every single month. So what are you investing? Glad you asked, because that brings us to number 3, which is you invest in assets. Something that actually pays you money. And this is something that completely changed my life. I started learning about it, Rich Dad Poor Dad, years ago. But this is how you can get rich, wealthy, millionaire, multimillionaire, whatever you really want to go for. But essentially, every single dollar that you have is a worker for you. So if each dollar could bring in few cents, dollar, multiple dollars, that's exactly what you want. So you could invest in stocks in the stock market. You could invest in bonds. You could invest in real estate, because those all pay you something. Some might be more than others, but something else you could invest in is also a side business. Something that you could actually enjoy while making money on the side. And that's just more income for you to then fuel your more investing habits. Or not. You could invest like the average person, which is nothing at all. They invest in things, liabilities, and nothing comes of it. Their dollars aren't working for them, and that's why they are always broke. Now, the fourth thing, I think the most important idea of the investing world is in reinvesting. So you could take advantage of compound interest. If you're not aware of that, there are tons of videos out there. But the idea of compound interest, you just grow more money over long amounts of time. So you might be only able to invest like $100 a month. However, if you do that over 30, 40, 50, 60 years, that grows into ridiculous amounts. Now, unfortunately, in the beginning, there's small increases, but it increases exponentially, which is why you have to start right now. So any income, any earnings, any profit that you gain from these investments, from your assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, you reinvest back into them so it grows faster. Number 5 is never stop. Never stop. You never stop investing and saving your money. Going back to basically all the previous steps, you continue doing this and continuously watching your cash flow. A lot of people that are involved with the FIRE movement, they want to be financially independent. They save a lot. They save like 50% of their income or more. Like, I'm around that spot right now, around like 50%. Some people save 60%, 75%. And if if you're married with someone, then you have 2 incomes. So ideally, this could definitely work, because if you live on one income and save and invest the other, that's 50% right there. I mean, given you're making the same, but that concept of saving. And definitely watch out for those big expenses. The biggest expenses that most people have that we really have to focus on is our home, the mortgage payment, the rent payment. If you're able to get that very low, minimal, or if you pay cash, imagine that. It's possible if you actually go through these steps, then guess what? You have you still have like taxes and all that stuff, but to have like low to very little payments for your house, that's huge. Because some people's mortgages or rents could be like $1,000, $2,000, even more every single month, versus what if you save or invest that type of money. Quick saving tip is house hacking. Simple idea of you live in one part of the house and you rent out the other part. Maybe if it's like a duplex, a split level, multifamily, something like that. The renter that you have, the tenant, is essentially paying your house bill. Now, aside from a house, we also have car payments. I always bring this up because I think it's disgusting. The average car payment is $500 a month. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine saving or investing that type of money? I actually invest, that's the max, for like a Roth IRA. You can invest in, yourself. And some other huge expenses, food. Now, I'm not saying to not eat. You should, because then you'll die. But you should definitely cut back on maybe like restaurants and fancy stuff like that, because it does add up. As well as entertainment. People don't like to think about this because they want to be entertained. They want to enjoy their life. And I'm not saying to suck up your life and be miserable. No, absolutely not. There's a balance, though. A lot of people spend a lot of money very frequently. Maybe like every single weekend they have to be doing something. That's entertainment. If you have more of a balance and maybe, I don't know, enjoy life, that's a little bit cheaper actually. If you just enjoy what you have, when you're more content, going to the idea of like minimalism, you are content with what you have. And we usually don't need much. So if we go through all of these steps, number 6, guys, is you could actually retire. Your assets finally pay you enough money. The income from those assets can pay your living expenses. That's when you know you could retire, which would probably be an amazing feeling. That I'm definitely going toward that. Just, you don't have to do anything. Now, that's when you could really control your time and your money to the greatest extent because you're in control of your life. You're not following the world saying that you have to work for 50 plus years and then you could maybe retire. People hope on like Social Security. You should not bank on Social Security whatsoever. When your assets finally they're paying you more than what you're living on, you could actually do what you want to do. Take control of your time and do basically whatever you want. That's like a ridiculous concept. People don't even know what they want because they're usually too focused on just working, making money, trying to make things, work out, and they don't understand what they enjoy. So, honestly, don't retire. Continue doing what you want. The idea of retirement is to like get away from the traditional job that most people despise. And then you could actually move into more things you like. Here's the problem with the FIRE movement. Not many people would do this. They think this is weird. They think this is crazy. You would be insane if like, oh, I'm going to retire when I'm 30s or 40s. They're like, yeah, okay. It's possible. And you're going to look very weird when you're going through these steps. But if you actually stay on these steps and you're actually able to retire before everyone else, then they would start questioning, well, how'd you do it? Well, while you were doing whatever, I was actually focusing on my life, my money, and my time. And then when you finally get there, you could do whatever you want, making a lot of people jealous. So don't let anyone else control your mind because you're in control. Do what's right for you. It might not make sense to some people, probably most people, but we have to do it if that's what we want our goal to be. So then you could help people when you retire. You could actually do things, be around people you enjoy, and live the life you actually want to live. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. How much are you saving in your income? Are you saving 50%? Are you saving 90%, if it's that possible, if you're making enough income? But I think that would be amazing to get to those high levels and still enjoy your life. So thank you so much for watching again, guys. I very much appreciate it. Hit me with one of these if you want to retire early, and I'll see you guys in the next one.